about to listen to Speak Up, Show Up, Lead, the podcast, where we speak our truth, show up anyway, and lead from the front. Follow me. Let's go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Speak Up, Show Up, Lead. And we're doing a Leadership Live edition today here with Chris, and this is going to be a good one. How you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing good, JJ. How are you?
Man, doing great. We are going to be talking about something that really hits home today. Who you are when no one's watching, your leadership identity. And we had a talk before this, and you probably understand why this is an important topic for today. But, yeah. So what's new in your world, buddy?
Same old stuff. We're hosting Thanksgiving next week. And on Thursday, my wife decided that the powder room needs a facelift before Thursday. So that's my weekend. I'm getting it in with some paint brushes and, replacing fixtures and hardware and, all that good stuff. So a quick 2-day makeover so that people can come over and eat at our house on Thursday.
Like a last minute honeydew project.
And I said, we've known about this for months that we're hosting this. She didn't think about it until now. So,
well, I'm sorry for not saying anything sooner, but we're doing this now.
Right.
Oh man. Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And that can be frustrating, but I can also see how when you bring a bunch of people over to your house, how she would want something cool to talk about or for it to be perfect or whatever too.
Yeah.
And we are always on the blunt end of that, especially when it comes to doing projects around the house.
100%.
That's okay.
How about you? What's up?
Oh man. Dealing with a lot of stuff at my nonprofit, but otherwise things are going pretty good. We're also going to be doing Thanksgiving here this week. Not bringing a bunch of people over, but I get to invite my daughter's college boyfriend. So that's going to be an interesting one.
Well, we're having that too. My son's bringing his girlfriend home for Thanksgiving. So, yeah.
Fun. Yes, fun
Always.
Times.
Yep.
So anyway, who we are when no one's watching. Leadership identity. This is a good one. I saw this one a lot when I was on active duty, Chris, because we would lead in garrison and do all of our normal activities, but then we would separate from our personal life and go out into the field, or we would deploy to a combat zone. And this was interesting because after about 24 to 48 hours of straight work, being away from everything, when you're just around people all the time, you really see who they are. And sometimes it's not what you thought, and that can be good, but that can also not be great. Yep. So this is an interesting one. What do you think about this?
It is an interesting one. And, we've talked so much about core values, and core values at a company level that's your culture in action, right? The way that your people act, the way that your core values are expressed is really a reflection of your culture. It's the same when we're talking about an individual. Yep. So our core values or whatever makes up us, right? Our character. That's our personal core values or our character in action. So you can put all the fluff and spin and everything else on it when you're around your coworkers, but at the end of the day, when it's just you out there in the wild, are you consistent with how you show up in the workplace, how you show up for your friends at the gym or helping someone with a project? Do those behaviors remain consistent? And if not, then what are your core values, right? Who really are you when no one's watching?
Well, and it's interesting that it's worded that way. I mean, obviously, we come up with our topics through conversation and sometimes even a little bit through Chat GPT. And so it spit this out, but this one kind of hits home because, when it comes to this comment's really for new leaders because people who have been in the job for a while probably already know this. But there's that old saying that we do one thing like we do everything. And
Yeah.
if you're a leader, people are always watching.
Yep.
And that's not just your boss, that's not just your peers. When you have people working for you, you are constantly, whether you know it or not, you are constantly modeling what's supposed to be done. And if you don't think someone's watching and you slip into your normal habits and those aren't exactly what you're preaching to your people every day, that can really start to show. Now, if it's a good thing, then it's probably fine. They're going to be like, "Oh man, Chris is amazing." Or if it's not, you just got done telling everybody to make sure that their offices stayed clean, and then everyone walks into your office or somebody walks into your office to talk to you and it's an absolute pigsty. Well,
Mhm.
that's not just you forgetting to clean your office. That is definitely a hit on your character. And it's because you got to model what you say. It's not a do as I say, not as I do. You should always be, if you want people to act a certain way, you need to be modeling that way all the time. So I mean, this is kind of cool. It definitely, if you are not genuine with who you are, just like we've said the last few lives that we've had, it's going to come out very quickly because people are always watching.
Exactly. And it reminds me when I used to be in the real estate and construction business, when I would have contractors coming out to quote on new jobs, they would typically meet me at the construction trailer. And, I don't care what the trade was, right? They're coming out and they're giving me their bids for jobs. I would always 100% walk out to their truck with them as when they were leaving the trailer, right? I would walk out and I would look inside of their truck. Like, I'd walk them to their truck. Obviously, I'm not trying to like be covert about it, but I would peek inside the cab of that truck. And if it looked like a rolling trash can, then that was my indicator that my job site is going to look like a freaking trash can. You can come in and look as button up as you want when you're dropping off your plans and your specs and everything else like that. But the way that you keep the inside of your truck tells me everything about the way that you're going to keep a job site. So it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And I turned down plenty of contractors who I was like, dude, you drive around in this thing? Like, no, no, thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah, cleanliness is a big one, but it's not just that. It's character because if somebody doesn't have the discipline to take care of their appearance,
Mhm.
their outward appearance when they're dealing with you, then it can mean a lot of things. But that leads to the whole thing of self leadership. How can somebody lead a team if they can't even lead themselves? And that's really a big one because a lot of people get promoted and they're not ready, and that's okay. But you know these are conversations that has to be had from the senior leader level down to the end user, the lowest level, the supervisor, the team leader,
Mhm.
the manager, whatever the case, because that's something that's forgotten. Oftentimes, they will revert back to their old habits. Well, if work's slow, I need to hide, or if things are not going well and it's a little hot and I'm just going to stay away from that because I don't want to get involved in the chaos. And that's that you got to start training for your new role. And when what I we kind of talked about this, I think it was 2 weeks ago, actually, that when things get hard, you gotta find the intestinal fortitude to go out there and handle it. Because if you don't, that's who you are. That is your leadership identity. People will
Mhm.
see that you cannot handle it. So likely when things get a little, even if it's not as hard as that moment, if they're struggling with something, likely they're not going to come to you. This is all about modeling. But as leaders, it's our job, if you want to be considered a leader, if you don't want to be just that manager, if you want to get better and better and have people look up to you all the time, if not, you could be a manager. You could always stay at that ground level and just manage a small team, I guess. But if you want to keep getting promoted and have influence over your people, then you got to focus on how you can be better all the time. And it's okay to not be perfect. I mean, you're never going to be perfect, but you don't focus on perfection, especially in the beginning. You focus on what are the most immediate things that you can get better at all the time, and it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah.
But being modeling what's right and what's wrong for your people, that should be the very core of your leadership identity, and that can be different for every person. So that's you want to be the person that people can come to and have conversations with, and that's one, because if you can't be that person, then you've already kind of failed in your role.
Yeah. You know, what I'm thinking about is how do you, as an individual, catch the behaviors that you're doing in your personal life, right? Because I think what we're really talking about here, because our broad is leadership.
Yep.
So we're talking about the difference between your personal life and your work life, for to simplify it.
Yep.
So you may in work be one way, and maybe you work in an environment where there are cameras all around, and
Yep.
you know that you're being watched, so therefore you're behaving, you're acting in a certain way that is what's expected of you at work.
Sure.
But then at home, even though there are freaking cameras all over the world, and don't get me down a rabbit hole about people knowing everything about you, but when you're out in the wild, not at work, how does the individual think about, like, man, if is this really me? I'm trying to put it into words, and I think I'm struggling here. But
Yeah.
I remember, here's an example. I had someone that at work I considered to be a good friend. We really didn't socialize outside of work. And then, but at work, we seemed to mesh, we seemed to get along. We went to a conference together after working with each other for, I don't know, a year or so. And this was a completely different person, right? And it was like, oh, we're at a conference. There's an open bar at the reception, and he just went ham. And hey, you know what? I'm not going to fault him for that. But at another point, we were walking through the conference hall, and he had trash in his hand and balled it up and like tossed it towards the trash can, and it missed. He didn't think twice about, I'm not going to pick that up. And I kind of like slapped him in the arm. I was like, yo, dude, you missed that trash can. Now, if we were at work, he would have picked that up and thrown that in the trash can. But now he's kind of letting his guard down. We're off site. The housekeeping staff is going to get that. No, you're going to get that. Like, come on, let's go. But that's a glimmer into who that person really was.
Okay. So what I think I get what you're trying to say. So how first of all, you don't overthink who you are,
Mm,
but you do have to identify your own shortfalls. At the end of the day, we all have bad habits.
yeah.
We're It just is what it is. Maybe you're that guy that walks around with a soda all the time, but then complains about being overweight. Well, it's that's counterintuitive, but
Yep.
that it's not a bad thing. That just is something that people will always laugh about. So that's not really a character flaw. Ugh. I think I'm going back to puberty, but it's not really a character flaw. That's just he wants a soda, and that's just part of his personality. But when it comes to leadership stuff, you gotta do that reflection. And if you care about it enough, then you're gonna do what you just got done talking about. And that's gonna be asking your friends, hey man, I know I don't always have the best habits. What can I do to improve myself? I want to start leading in my personal life and my professional life, and I want the two to be the same. And if you really want to take it to the next level, then you also start talking to your peers at work. You ask your boss. My goodness, if he or she thinks you're doing self reflection to try to get better, they're going to be looking at you a little bit more. Why the heck did Chris ask me that question?
Yeah.
Why would he even care about that? And the most uncomfortable thing to do, which we talk about all the time as well, is you can ask your employees. If
Mhm.
you're at home, you can be careful because you're not going to get the answer that you want, but you can ask your wife
That's right.
and you can ask your kids. I mean, just because somebody's only 10 years old, it doesn't mean that they don't like that they like everything that you do. There's still going to be some things there, and if they think you care about them and you and all the other things, and you care about the relationship that you're building with them, they're still going to answer questions.
Mhm.
Again, from the mouth of babes, right? I mean, if you ask a kid a question, you never know what they're going to say. So, I mean, all of these things, if you care enough, you'll ask other people.
Yeah.
Now, with the answers that you get, don't just shrug them off and say, "Oh, that's not important." That's not important. What you should be doing is taking a physical or mental note of these things. And I'm guilty of not always doing this. I mean, my goodness, we're not perfect. None of us is. But then when nobody else is around, this is what you were referring to. Did you take that shot to the trash can at your own house and then just walk away when nobody was there? Maybe only the dogs saw you.
Right.
And did you walk away from it, or did you walk over and pick that up and make sure it was in the trash can? Did you if you tell the kids that it's important for them to clean their room, but then you walk into your room and it looks like a mess. It looks like a tornado went through that joker. Maybe there's some laundry in the corner that hasn't been folded. The personal life stuff is more important than you think. Is your vehicle a mess?
Mhm.
Is your computer area just completely trashed? But all of these things, they do matter. And
They
and,
do.
it, and it's not a big deal if it's not the way you want it to be. Just focus on that. And hey, when you walk up and you have a free moment that you're not on a call or whatever the case may be, maybe you tidy up that desk. Not completely, just a little bit. And
Yep.
then the next moment when you have a free time, tidy it up a little bit more. Maybe you stop, turn around, grab that piece of trash and actually pick it up and throw it in there. All of these small things that you can do, if you build the habit, I I said it a few minutes ago, the way you do one thing is the way that you do everything.
Yeah.
So, you gotta work on it. No one's gonna ever expect you to be some perfect walking robot. Everyone is gonna have ways that they can improve, but it's what you do to improve is what's gonna improve your character. And there's no right or wrong way to improve your character. But if you feel like that's important, then you got to work at it.
Yeah. Exactly. Um, and the other thing is you've got to be comfortable with you.
Yeah,
That at the end of the day, that's the person that you need to please, right? Is yourself. Like, hey, am I happy? Am I comfortable? Am I cool with being this way?
yeah,
And if so, then all right, rock and roll. Maybe that's one of your core values that you just haven't expressed. Yeah, I'm cool with an office that looks like a shithole. All right, as long as I get my work done, doesn't matter. But I don't think that a lot of high performing leaders would have that characteristic, but you never know.
never know. No. Well, and you know what? Let's go to the other side of that. If sometimes you don't see that thing not go in the trash, sometimes when that person needs help and it's something minor, you might not see that person that needs help, or maybe you weren't paying attention like you should have. Maybe you just were in the middle of doing some very important things in your home office and it got dirty, and and maybe an emergency happened and you walked away from it. Sometimes life gets out of control. If
Right.
those things are important to you, again, it if it's important to you, then make sure you do something about it. Your leadership identity is finding though if there's a certain way that you want to be, then you be that.
Mhm.
And one of I didn't really truly like the guy, but there was one leader of mine at some point in at one point in my military career that had the saying, "It doesn't matter what people call you, it's what you answer to." And when you think about that in terms of your leadership identity, you know, people can call you all kinds of stuff. They can call you lazy, they can call you stupid, they can call you a mess, they can call you whatever they want. But if you react to that, then you believe that
Yeah.
to a certain extent. So if you don't like it, when you walk away from getting all ticked off at that person, then what are you going to do to change that so that it doesn't bother you? And if it doesn't, and if it's not a big deal, and you're just one of those people who takes insults to heart every single time, is that really what you want for yourself as well? Because that's really an emotional intelligence problem.
It is 100%.
Yep, yep. But if that's who, but if you just hate being insulted and that's how you have to react, I'm not judging you.
Yeah.
This is it's who you want to be. You whatever you want to be is what we're talking about here. Who you are when no one's watching, who your leadership identity, all that stuff is based off of what you want. And so, just like Chris said, nobody's judging anybody when we're saying things on these calls. And you could be a great person and have flaws. Guess what? I think Chris is a great person. I'm sure he has flaws.
Yeah.
I hope Chris putting up with me every couple of weeks thinks that he thinks I'm a pretty decent person as well. But I can tell you right now, I could list a laundry list of things that I don't like about myself all the time that I'm working on, but I'm not perfect with. That I'm going to continue to work on all the time. We all have flaws. If we were perfect, then we would be the divine, and that's just not how life works. So,
Exactly.
uh, we, whatever that is for you, work on it.
And you know what? our our personality flaws, or our shortcomings, that's all like us, right? That's just what makes us unique. Um Not all of these personality traits, right? I'm not going to say shortcomings, but I'm going to say personality traits. Not all of them are bad or negative,
No,
right? Sometimes, like, I know someone who is such a great guy. He would give someone the shirt off of his back. He's always looking out for other people. He does the right thing all the time, but he's quirky, right? He's got like a weird sense. He like gets a little too close to you when he talks to you, and it's like, you know what? That's just who this guy is. And I guarantee, like, I don't work with him. He's someone that I know outside of work, but I guarantee at work, he's the same way. Like, that's just who this guy is. So these different personality traits is what makes us unique as individuals. And some of them are totally harmless. Some of them probably you might find funny. So my kids tease me about the fact that my office is probably the most straightened up room in this entire house, because I'm very much a minimalist, and it's like everything in its place, a place for everything. My truck is the same way. And they're like, I don't never see a speck of dirt on dad's truck. The inside of his truck is always clean. And they joke about it with me. And it's like, you go to my office at work too, and it's the same thing. My desk is always clear, and it's just how I roll. If you don't like it, kick rocks.
nah, I agree. I agree, and that's an important attitude to have. If something is just if you don't mind, there are some ways where my desk is extremely tidy as well, but there's some ways where if I put it in a place, I have to have it in that place. Some people on the outside might be, "Oh my gosh, that looks messy sitting there like that." Hey, you know what? I will always find the stuff that's in that pile right there So if you don't like it, also you can kick rocks. And I'm a little bit jealous because the inside of my truck is pretty good, but on the outside, I live down a gravel road, so that is always a battle,
Yeah,
my friend.
always dusty. Yep.
I'm jealous. I wish I could do that. I used to be able to do that, but these are all, again, it's what's important to you. So if your personality, you should enjoy who you are.
Yeah.
And if you think it's okay for people to model the types of things that you do at work, then do those things. And that there's nothing wrong with that. And if people see a flawed person, it's going to give them permission to be flawed in their own ways as well. And if they're struggling with something, if they see you working on you, they're going to work on them, likely sometimes. But most times, I would say that about the 85 to 90% of employees that you have, if they see you doing good things, they're going to try to do those good things too. You
Yeah.
always have that. You always have that knucklehead. Unfortunately, that's just how it works. But
Knuckleheads exist
the
everywhere.
knuckleheads all on, and by the way, I would say on just about every team.
Yeah.
Just about every team. You always have one. So don't worry about that guy. You're not doing anything wrong because that person's not modeling you. It's going to be all right. Move on. But, it's good to analyze whether or not there's something you could do to help that person. But at the end of the day, we can't help everybody. So
That's right.
don't take every interaction with every employee 100% to heart. Just don't do that. Your
No.
leadership identity, if you're happy with it and you're constantly trying to get better at the things that you're not good at, and that those things are important to you, then you're doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
That's really all I got on the subject. Are there any closing comments that you have there, Chris?
I mean, my only closing comment is just pay attention to the things that you do, right? If there's ever a time in your gut where you're like, man, would I do this at work? Would I do this in front of my friends that I hang out with and I respect? If the answer is no, then reevaluate what you're about to do. But if the answer is yes, then that's you and rock and roll with it. So that's it. It's about personal reflection. It's about staying true to your values and who you are. And hey, if no one's there to see it, would you still do that charitable thing or whatever it is? So that's it. Pretend like someone's always there and help you to do the right thing.
Yep. Agreed. Couldn't have said it better myself. And I didn't do it in the beginning. So I will go ahead and do it now. If you're interested in a good read, please go to Amazon.com. Check out my book, Speak Up, Show Up, Lead. It's my story of lessons learned. And I'm not going to go into any more than that today.
Get the book.
Right. Get the book.
It's a stocking stuffer. Come on, the holidays are coming up.
Oh, you're right. Okay. It's a stocking stuffer. It's the holidays. Get the book. All right, Chris. Thank you so much for another good call.
Always.
And I look forward to doing this with you here in a couple weeks. And anybody who's watching or watches this in the future, don't forget to like, subscribe, share, comment below, do all the things. Let us know, especially if there's a topic you want us to talk about. Put it in the comments, or you can click on my profile link wherever you see this, and there's contact information. You can reach out to me that way as well if you want to, and we can talk about what other topics you'd like to see on the show. We're here for you. We're not here for us, even though we do enjoy this. So that part's for us, but we want to be here for you guys.
That's right.
All right, Chris. That's
JJ,
it, buddy.
Everybody have a fantastic Thanksgiving and be safe out there.
Take care, everybody.
See ya.